Year 2003. Far away from the Earth, on an uncharted space, Planet X was orbiting, waiting to be found. This trans-Neptunian object was supposed to be the 10th planet of our solar system. But when they found it, its characteristics didn't comply in accordance to other planets. In a way, it was a planet, yet somehow much different than a planet. When the observations took a closer approach, its characteristics started generating waves in scientific communities. The brightest minds of the world debated whether we should call it a planet or not. Planet X lacked some very base attributes of a planet, and yet it had more personality than just a mere TNO. While the scientists were unsure about its categorization, the world of discoveries went ahead, and 2 more objects were found with the same persona. Hence, after a long debate in the year 2006, the International Astronomical Union decided to design a whole new class for the newfound objects. The troublemaker Planet X was named Eris, and the newborn category was called Dwarf Planets. Pursuing the dwarfs. Eris was discovered along with 2 more dwarf planets, Marke and Haumea, by Caltech astronomer Mike Brown and his team. The kind of controversies it created, Eris also found the name quite fitting. It was named after the Greek goddess of disharmony who agitated envy among the goddesses and became the cause of the War of Troy. Far away from the heat source, Eris is a dark and bitter cold place. When Eris is at the maximum distance from the Sun, even its atmosphere freezes and collapses on the ground. The eerie silence and frosty landscape gives this domain a ghostly touch. The diameter of Eris is 1,455 miles. Inclined on its high elliptical orbit, it's revolving at a distance of 6.3 billion miles, taking 557 Earth years to complete 1 lap around the Sun. A moon, named Dysnomia, rotates around Eris. Its name was also given after the daughter of goddess Eris. When Eris was found, it seemed very much similar to Pluto, but further analysis revealed it orbited in a far-flung orbit greater than Pluto's. By far, all the planets of our solar system have almost circular orbits except Pluto. Now, with a new addition of this bizarre course and other significant differences, scientists felt the need for a more specific category for such near planets. They redefined the definitions and created another category of dwarf planets. The new planetary definition suggests a planet has to be a celestial body orbiting around the Sun. It should have sufficient mass for its self-gravity to reshape it into a near sphere. And it has to clear its neighborhood around its orbit. Having said that, a dwarf planet is also a spherical body circling around the Sun, but they simply don't contain enough gravity to clear their orbital surrounding. Dwarf planets are defined based on their unclear neighborhood and their extremely elliptical orbits. Unfortunately for Pluto, it shared the same specifics. Discovered in the year 1930 by Clyde Tombaugh, Pluto was long considered as the 9th planet of our solar system. But since icy Pluto stays in the zone of Kuiper Belt and surrounded by thousands of other miniature ice chunks, Pluto lost its title as planet and was reclassified as a dwarf planet. Named after the Roman god of the underworld, Pluto again is a cold, frigid sphere. Many exotic ices like methane and nitrogen frost gives the dwarf planet a reddish tint. The dwarf planet has a very thin atmosphere extended around 3,000 kilometers above the surface. Pluto's 248-year-long elliptical course takes the dwarf 3.65 million miles away from the Sun. Pluto has 5 moons: Charon, Hydra, Nix, Kerberos and Styx. Moon Charon is almost half the size of Pluto. Sometimes these two are referred to as a double planet system, as they orbit a common center of mass. Soon we'll know more about the former planet, as NASA's probe New Horizon began its approach phase to Pluto. The probe was launched on January the 19th, 2006, and soon it's going to take its first flyby around Pluto. Farther away from Pluto, in the Kuiper Belt, lies another dwarf planet, Makemake. Mysterious Makemake is likely to be the 3rd largest dwarf after Pluto and Eris. It is also the 2nd brightest Kuiper Belt object seen from Earth. So far, no moon has been discovered around Makemake. With the reddish-brown tint, Makemake's surface seems to consist of frozen nitrogen, ethane and methane. 882 miles wide in diameter, it takes 310 years to revolve around the Sun. In the year 2004, another strangely shaped object in the Kuiper Belt was discovered. The celestial body was completing its axial rotation in just 4 hours, and it looked like a gigantic American football. This dwarf planet was named Haumea, after the Hawaiian goddess of childbirth and fertility. Haumea is about 1,200 miles wide, which is nearly equal to Pluto, but its mass is only a third in comparison. Though it's the fastest rotating known dwarf in the solar system, it still takes 283 years to complete one revolution around the Sun. Hayaka and Namaka are two known moons of Haumea, named after the daughters of the goddess herself. Most of Haumea's surface is covered by crystalline water ice, which indicates the possible presence of radioactive elements inside Haumea. It also has a very distinguished dark red spot. The spot may carry even a higher fraction of crystalline ice or a heavy amount of minerals. All the four dwarf planets reside in the cold and distant Kuiper belt, but that's not the only place they were found. Almost a century before the discovery of Pluto, another celestial orb was found in the asteroid belt. Situated between Mars and Jupiter, the object was round like a planet and contained 1/3 of the belt's mass. It was named Ceres. It was discovered in the year 1801 by Giuseppe Piazzi. Ceres could have turned into a water-filled rocky planet like Earth, but Jupiter somehow sealed its fate. Millions of years ago, the gravitational perturbation from the giant Jupiter prevented Ceres from developing any further. This embryonic planet remained the same since and is the smallest dwarf planet in today's time. With a diameter of 590 miles, Ceres is by far the largest object in the asteroid belt. Its orbital period is 4.6 Earth years long. The land of Ceres is filled with craters, and it might have large amounts of water ice beneath the pockmarked surface. It is assumed that Ceres might have more water than all the fresh water on Earth. We may soon unravel the mysteries of Ceres, as NASA's spacecraft Dawn is scheduled to visit the dwarf in the year 2015. These dwarf planets were born the same way, like the full-fledged planets. But somewhere along the time, they stopped growing. Now these ancient relics of the past holds the key to unravel the mysteries of planetary evolution. Today, the category qualifies only 5 dwarfs, but there are more possible dwarfs like Orcus, Quawa, and Sedna. Waiting to join the list. And there may be more lurking in the dark, waiting to be discovered. We now have more eyes in the sky than ever before. Probes like Dawn and New Horizon are traveling further to seek the unknown and learn the secrets these dwarfs hold.